Sorry, I didn't ask her.
We're good.
All right. We will call this January 5th, 2026 meeting of the Coney Joint Regional Sewer Authority Board of Commissioners meeting to order. We will start with invocation and pledge of allegiance led by Commissioner Josh Riches.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for this beautiful day in January, the beginning of this year, and thankful that we have this opportunity to gather as the OJRSA Board of Commissioners. Father, we're thankful for the season that we've gone through, Christmas and remembering thy Son, and pray that we can continue the lessons we've learned and the joy we felt, and continue that through the new year. We pray this evening as we consider different actions that will impact the OJRSA and the member cities that will be able to do so with clear minds and be able to do what's best for those citizens and those people who will be impacted by decisions we make. We ask the blessing upon those who are struggling at this time, and for Kenny that we just heard about is going through some difficult moments and health issues. And we ask the blessing on any of those who are struggling, dealing with health or mental or any other type of ailment that be watched over. We pray that we can always glorify thee and follow thy Son in everything we do. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
And the flag is to the back.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Josh. We'll now move on to item number C, board action items. Receiving nominations and elect the board chair to serve 2026-2027 term, which expires upon the election of the new chair at the January 28, 2028 board meeting. The board chair shall also serve as chair of the executive committee. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Mr. Kevin Bronson to continue to serve as our chair.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other candidates who'd like to make themselves known? Okay, hearing that, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Mulder.
You're welcome.
All right, so let's get through some of the administrative things here. Actions related to the OJRSA Commissioner duties for 26-27. Terms to include, as included in the OJRSA bylaws. 2A is to accept nominations and elect a vice chair for the OJRSA board. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Scott Mulder to serve as vice chair.
All right, good for you, Joe. Second. Oh, we got it. Motion and a second. Any further nominations?
I tried to sit down on the end away from everybody.
Yeah, I noticed that. Didn't work. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Misery loves company.
Yeah, you're one chicken truck away from being the chair. All right, we will now accept nominations and elect the Secretary Treasurer of the OJRSA Board of Commissioners. Position may but is not required to be held by a commissioner. I think in the past we have had Ms. Lynn Stevens hold that position. And I'm just stating that for the record. Are there any nominations?
I hereby officially nominate Ms. Lynn Stevens as our treasurer. Secretary.
We have a motion and second. Any further nominations? Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Lynn. Consider the creation of any other officers the commission deems necessary. Do we deem anything necessary to have any other officers? Did you just put this on here?
I was reading the bylaws, and this is one of the things I came across. I figured I'd add it and let y'all decide if you wanted to do anything with it or not.
I have nothing further to deem, sir.
Anybody this way have anything? We'll keep moving. Item 2D, Board chair to appoint commissioners to the Finance and Administration Committee, and I will go ahead and also include item E to appoint commissioners to the Operation Planning Committee. Is there anyone who'd like to change committees that they're currently on? Are we good? The F&A Committee, will y'all raise your hand so we all know? And Celia, you're the chair. And the O&P Committee, that right there. And Scott, you're the chair. Are there any, would anybody like any of those things to change? Okay, I think this is just me deeming it and it being so, Chris?
Yes, sir.
So there it be so. Moving on to item D, public session. Receive comments relating to topics that may or may not be on the agenda. Is there anyone who'd like to speak? Hearing none, we'll move on to item E, approval of minutes. Board of Commissioners meeting of December 1st, 2025. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for the commissioners meeting on December 5th.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item number F. Committee and other meeting reports. We will start with the Reconstitution Committee and Executive Committee meeting on November 13th as approved by committee on December 11th. Acceptance of the December 11th, 2025 meeting minutes will be considered at the board meeting following committee approval. So Chris, which ones are we approving?
We're always kind of 2 months behind. So this one is, we're accepting the meeting minutes from November that were approved by the committee in December. So that's basically how this one is working.
All right.
Does that make any sense?
Yes, thank you for reminding us. And then in terms of a quick update, the Reconstitution Committee continues to meet. It will not meet this month. I think that is due to some scheduling conflicts and lack of action items. We will pick back up on February the 12th at 9 a.m. at OJRSA. I believe the last thing we talked about was coming up with a methodology for how we would split the cost with the financial and technical analysis using two separate firms, one to do financial analysis, one to do the technical analysis. I would be happy to entertain a motion to approve the November 13th committee meeting minutes. Got a motion?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on, Finance Administration Committee was canceled, from December 16th was canceled. It lacked agenda items. Operation Planning Committee meeting of December 18th, 2025. Scott Mulder.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Just a brief summary of the meeting. We received an update on some projects, specifically the dewatering project that's been underway. Still moving forward. They've got about a week's worth of work left, but there's some equipment they're waiting on delivery. They said once that comes in, again, they have about a week left, but it may be March before they can actually do the work once the equipment comes in. So it's still moving along. Mr. Lindsay gave us an update on that as well as Mr. Eliezer. We also discussed the large development capacity reservation agreement again as instructed by the full board. They were very complimentary of the discussion and comments received at the previous board meeting. All in all, at the end, we decided not to pursue that. We, of course, did thank Chris for all the work he put into it, just to have us turn around and decline it. But we took all the comments in, had further discussion, decided not to pursue it. So as far as the O&P committee is concerned, that matter is dead at this point in time. Chris did clarify on a number of items that were questioned during the board meeting to provide further clarification. But after all that said, we decided not to recommend it back to the full board. We also recommended to the full board the execution of a indefinite delivery contract with Weston and Sampson and Ardura engineering firms. That was part of project 2026-03 that is on our agenda this evening for affirmation by the full board, but we are recommending that. They went through a full bid project. The two firms are actually partnering with other firms, which we think makes it a stronger partnership, a stronger approval. So we are recommending again the indefinite contracts to Weston and Sampson and Ardura engineering firms. We also got some updates on the PAA disinfection implementation. We received our permit, but lo and behold, there were some other certifications that we were required with regards to our lab for our testing. So we're continuing to work through that. He also gave us an update. This is a warning that in the next budget year, we'll be talking about some additional significant repair work to our collection system after continued CCTV and investigations of that. So he did mention there are about 30 line segments that we're going to be looking at, needed repairs, manholes and such. So I believe that's going to be, you're going to try and put that in the next budget year, Chris, is that right?
I don't think we'd be able to afford to do it in the budget. We may be able to do the engineering portion of it, but it was a $8.5 million project.
So obviously a significant impact coming down the road that we're going to need to consider. So you want to go ahead and just give the OP committee an update. We also talked about the potential of doing a standard operating agreement for development. I believe there was an example of one of the communities had a new neighborhood coming in, so they actually turned all the responsibility over to the sewer authority for evaluation, review, and maintenance approval and everything. So Chris had talked to that city about doing that, but felt like if we were going to down the future continue with that process, that we may want to have some kind of a standing operating agreement between us and the developers on how those new developments are going to develop upon our review. That was pretty much the major bulk of the discussion, but if any other committee members remember differently or have anything else they'd like to add, that was our meeting, Mr. Chair.
Any questions for Scott? Entertain a motion to.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item G, Secretary Treasurer Report. Lynn Stevens.
Okay, the report's in your packet there. We have $11,850,994 in all the accounts combined with the cash and investments. You'll see that we had the budget amendment for R&M fund account middle part of that page under these cash review. That was for the money that we gave back to the county for the project. All the reconciliations have been done through November, but as of, I did this on the 31st, this report, but as of today, I still do not have the reconciliation letters for October and November. I'm still waiting on it. In the investments, we have two CDs that will be maturing this month, later this month. They will be reinvested.
Thank you. Any questions for Lynn? Entertain a motion to approve the.
Motion to accept the financial report statement.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item H, presentation and discussion items. Review of the 2025 Commissioner's goals and develop goals and identify needs for the board for 2026. Exhibit C. Board chair to lead open discussion with commissioners. So has everyone had a chance to look at these since the agenda came out? Is there anything that anyone would like to change or update or modify?
Considering the movement of goal number 1 with the reconstitution committee, even though it says feasibility implementation, I'm assuming that that can be adjusted to the reconstitution committee. Would number 5 pretty much fall underneath that, or do we still need to have a separate item about a county being a member?
That's a good question. Having them as a part of that committee, I think is, and they have indicated a willingness to financially contribute to the technical financial analyses that we're planning to conduct. Chris, Lawrence, any suggestions on keeping that there until it's more formal?
I think we're pretty cool at this point. They had a member, that new member's been in place. I think that's actually probably an easy thing to do, to streamline one of the goals and you check the box.
So we can check off number 5 and maybe tweak number 1
Yeah,
and say
right.
reconstitution committee.
Yeah, with the inclusion of Boone County as a membership entity.
Have they replaced the member to the ad hoc committee?
Is it the new county administrator? Or is it?
Mr. Hart,
Still Mr. Hart.
Yeah.
I thought, when you said replaced, I thought you meant.
Well,
and I guess technically, any of the subsequent items from number 1 really are impacted by the results of number 1, right? I mean, you look at how we govern the cities and how it handles the enforcement. Well, if we end up, following through with the recommendations and everybody turns their system over to the sewer authority, there's no city enforcement anymore. So I guess technically a lot of those are dependent and hanging on to the final outcome of number 1.
So would you like to modify item number 2?
No, I mean, I think we'll leave them like they are. This is stated goals, and number 1 will certainly have an impact depending on the time frame of that implementation.
Well, there are some compliance things that need to still be addressed. They'll probably come out.
As part of that
Yeah,
process.
as part of, relative to number 2, that you still have to run the organization, until we know whatever the formalized reconstitution process looks like. So I think that's probably working on there.
And then item number 3, develop a consensus on how much we're going to approve capital improvement projects. Are you all willing to wait for the development of the budget to come up with that number? I don't know that I'm capable right now to give a number.
I think it's too difficult to be able to do personally right now without debt financing.
yeah,
That's why I mentioned a minute ago that $8.5 million.
yeah.
That's right at or above our total operating budget for the entire year.
We had a pretty good discussion the other day about this. And, yeah, there's some big expenses coming up, so I would say we wait till after we get a budget.
Okay.
And I think that is one of the items to be addressed as well with item 1, consolidation or whatever we end up doing is to be able to go and fund these large projects through debt.
And I think we also have a responsibility until which point number 1 is checked off, right? So I think we still have goals and objectives to work towards. So leaving these all on there as individuals, I think is something we can certainly give us some roadmap.
Forgive me for not having best memory. Speeds Creek did you do any work toward, did we not do some engineering toward that?
That is actually going to be mentioned in a minute because that's going to require the IDC engineer. So that'd be the first project that would be done by.
Okay, so leaving that on here would be appropriate too.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Why is that not incorporated in number 3?
It could be incorporated into it, but all we have currently is,
That's the only project.
that's the only project we can afford the engineering portion of it. We don't know what the final construction cost would be with that. So I think we can get that, hopefully, fairly early on in the project with the PER. It's going to go through permitting with the state and determine what that probable cost may be, or lack of cost, maybe from the consultant.
If
Do
we
you
don't,
think you'll have that in time for the budget?
Sir?
Do you think you will have that in time for the budget?
I-
It seems,
I don't know that we will or not. But what, what we have to do is just take funding, what we can deduct from the O&M budget, so we take care of all of our known costs that we have coming up, take whatever money is remaining, have a line item transfer of that fund to the restricted projects account, and then run that project out of the projects account. We'll have some funds in there, they're in a way they're semi-tied up right now with the state projects that we have going on, since we have to pay and get reimbursed. But once those are closed out, we should have, in the magnitude of $1.9 to $2 million in there, plus whatever we will be able to transfer from next year into it to cover some of those costs. And maybe we replace it in a couple of phases. We'll just have to look and see what the options can be.
Are there any other items that any other commissioner would like to discuss? Anything new? Is that clear to you guys what we're asking you to do? Chris?
Yes.
And Lawrence, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No,
Say
please.
something. All right, so with that, we'll just consider that discussion and feedback to you, Chris, without any action.
Thank you.
Moving on to item I, action items, review November and year-to-date financial reports. Chris Eliezer.
All right, Ms. Stevens emailed out the copy of the November report back on December 18th to the board. Normally this is an item that would be approved by the FNA committee, but since that meeting was canceled, this would be the only agenda item that would have been for them to consider. So that's what we bring for the full board consideration today.
Is there a motion to approve the financials?
I'll make a motion to approve this one.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Action item I2, authorize executive director to negotiate and execute indefinite delivery contracts with Weston Sampson and Ardura engineering firms in consideration of OJRSA project 2026-03. Chris Elliott.
So just a real quick summary of that, as Mr. Martin mentioned from the committee report, that we did recommend those two haircut firms to the review team, which consisted of Kyle Lindsay, our operations director, Jennifer Barrington, who's an outside engineering consultant that some have already made that at some point in time, as myself, and it was unanimous that the three of us selected those same firms out of the same 2 out of the 9 that we had received. The Speeds Creek force main replacement was item 1 that we have on the agenda to be able to begin that project once we get the go ahead to enter into negotiations with those 2 firms. So with that being said, I encourage and recommend approval of this item.
All right, we have a recommendation from Chris. Is there a motion? So motion. So have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or questions?
We had a really good discussion about that, and there was a person, I forget her name, but she was on that committee and would highly recommended them as well.
And she provided a memo, if I believe, that I
Yeah.
passed out. That was Ms. Barrington. And, we had 3 folks looking at this from completely different perspectives. With Jennifer, now in the private sector, working for public sector facilities for the most part, not entirely, but she actually retired from Anderson Joint Regional Water System back 2 or 3 years ago. So she has eyes from an owner's perspective as well when considering this. And she was also able to kind of educate Jake, who is, we're bringing him on, he's been with us for now for 6 months, to kind of go through, this is the type of thing, how to go through and review some of these documents, what we should be looking for, what you should be considering when going through, because there's, in all these things, you know, there's often a lot of fat that's in there. So you have to go and look for what is the actual meat that is the importance for what we're needing it for. So she did a great job, as she always has.
Any additional questions, further discussion? Mr. Dowd, thank you for that. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item J, Executive Director's discussion on compliance matters. Priscilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item one, there's not too much in the way of the environmental portion of this. It was mentioned about the PAA that we are currently waiting on DES lab certification to come up and take a look at our setup in the lab we have at the treatment facility for testing for PAA. Kyle is hopeful, and I think he used that strong word, hopeful, that this will be complete by the end of January. We're hoping that it's done well before the beginning of March, which is not. We have to go through the whole risk management plan, submittal to EPA. I think that's due by early to mid-March. So we're hoping to avoid that, if at all possible. Seneca Creek Pump Station Force Main, we are very close to that one being complete as well. As a reminder, this is a 10-inch line that we've had numerous issues with over the years. That was also included in our consent order due to breaks that we've had on that. It is also a growth limiting asset right now because it is maxed out with what it's able to convey. So we had designed and had approved the upsize from a 10-inch ductline pipe to a 16-inch, and that was funded fully by Red Little and the Fountain Residential Group through an agreement. So that, again, we hope to have that closed out and in service by the end of the month, if not much sooner. They're going through punch list items on that as we speak now. So I think we're just waiting to get construction. A permit to operate on that hopefully very soon. Tractor Supply Company line extension. On Highway 11, near the Spinks gas station, there was a line of approximately 208 linear feet of 8-inch PVC pipe that was extended from an existing OJRSA manhole, again, funded by the developer, that would need to reach further. I guess that would be northeast to the new location where Tractor Supply was constructed. So we currently are waiting on a permit to operate on that right now as well. Again, it was 206 feet of pipe and two manholes that were going to be set to serve that property. Number 4, Reconstitution Executive Committee. It was already mentioned that the committee meeting for later this week has been canceled and rescheduled for February 12th at 9 a.m. And then number 5, and this has to do, it reminded me when I looked over the goals that the board had set last year regarding this planning, future planning of staff, that I'm not exactly sure what the turnover is like with the cities, within the utility department in general, but we have had considerable turnover within the last year, especially in the operations side of things. So much so that when I sat down and calculated it, today it's 85% in the last year. So a number of those positions have turned over 2 or 3 times. We lost a guy at the end of 2024. We hired a guy, he left, hired another guy, he left, and we're on the 3rd guy in that same position. So it does take that into account. It's not like we lost 11 staff out of the 13 or so that we have, but it is a serious matter, and it has been for a while, so much so that when we had the budget presentation last year to the committee, to the board, it was included in there and mentioned that we have to do some type of a study. Because everyone, the students here at the exit interviews, all but one, correct me if I'm wrong, but all but one have left for purposes that have to do with pay. Some of them have left to go to other public sector entities, some have not, we're never going to be able to compete with the private sector, but we're looking internally to see what we would be able to do to make a better environment for them to want to stay, even if it's for less money, than they may be able to get somewhere else. The other troubling thing is, with it, is only one of those that is left actually left for a promotion opportunity. So they're leaving us, even when they go even into other utilities, they're leaving us with lateral positions that may have, the pay has always been more, but they also have more vertical opportunities to grow as well. So we're happy for them in those cases, but it really puts a hurting on us when we're having to spend so much time training and going through the hiring process with these staff. So, there'll be more on this as we move forward over the next 3-4 months, but you'll hear more about it certainly before the budgetary process time.
So you're actively working on a way to address that, or what's your strategy right now?
We have performed an anonymous internal survey that everybody but me is taken on, and is being handled by an outside entity. So we're not getting any of the information as to who's saying what. We want to be truly honest as to, for current staff, but we also had them reach out to former staff as well. And is it for the last 2 years? 3 years that they were going to attempt to reach out to those that have left over the last 3 years to get information from them as well, and to find out what some options may be that we can do differently.
Is this part of a comp study that you're doing, or is this
Yes, sir.
something that's HR independent?
It's a little bit of both. So it's a comp study, but also, looking at, just general benefits. One of the things that I think I mentioned before, that this is something I have looked at doing this year, just because we have such a hard time hiring people. And I go back and forth as to whether I think it's a wise idea or not. But the agency covers the employee's portion of insurance at 100%. I thought about eliminating that, whatever that cost may be, putting that in the employee's paycheck so that it reflects that they're earning, works out to be, what was it, we looked at this a year or so ago, a couple dollars an hour difference.
Yeah, I think I don't think it was much more than that.
Yeah, it was around $2 an hour, so that it reflects they're earning $2 more. They would basically be paying for insurance at that time. But we had figured out where it would be able to help them with retirement benefits. It wouldn't cost them anymore. Their pay-up pay would be the same. And it just got so kind of late in the budget process, we weren't able to do anything with it for this current year. But even things like that just whatever we can think of that may be able to help. But Ms. Stevens, we spoke a little bit about it before the meeting today, and it's just not like, the ones that we've had that have left, they left. The ones that we've had that have retired, they've been there when salaries were bad. Before I came, they were very low, but they were very loyal employees. So what's the difference between the ones we're getting now, where the pay is substantially better than what it was, but everybody's leaving all the time? And that's where, she stated in that some of the feedback she got in the exit interview obviously was the pay, but it's just hard work. And the folks just, I guess, don't want to do the work that has to be done. We haven't had any turnover from upstairs besides the very first pre-treatment coordinator that was there for a few more months after I was there, and then he retired. But it's folks downstairs that do have those laborers that really, like I said, 85% in a year's time.
Chris, there was you gave an example of something just small about a slight schedule change. I can't remember all the details. Has that been implemented?
Yes, sir, I appreciate you bringing that up. So that was another thing we looked at. As part of the survey, we asked current staff, on the operations side, that we could figuratively afford to do this with, if they would prefer different work hours. I think this went to the board, it was approved, I think it was December, the last month, where the board approved allowing them to work 7 to 4 as opposed to 8 to 5. And that would be a benefit for them to do and have it year round. So, even that's another example of some things we're looking at doing that would be a little bit different, that would entice them to want to stay and be satisfied with where they are.
Where do you typically advertise your open positions?
Rural water, Indeed, websites. Where else, Lynn?
We actually do it through, it's through ADP, but it's career, it's not Career Builder. They have a company though, but they end up sending it out to a bunch of different places like they get our information and then they distribute it. It's Career something, I can't remember right now what it is, but they send it out to all these different places for us, and then we get the application or the resumes from people when they want to apply for the job.
And from what I understand, and speaking to Kyle, 'cause I'm not involved in the hiring process any longer. Kyle's with, him and the supervisors do a much better job vetting talent than I do based on what they need. He said that ever since we made that change a few months ago, how long ago, was that 6 months or give or take? That the quality of applicant that we're receiving is much better. But we still have the same problem that we had before, where we'll reach out to them, they apply, we reach out to them, never hear anything back from them. They'll schedule an interview and never show up. Even great resumes, but for whatever reason, we just had that. We had one guy that he applied and said he would take the job absolutely if we had the 7 to 4 work hours. Well, we go and make a change, call him back, never heard from him again. So, just difficult.
That's not just our, it's all.
I agree with that.
It
Generation.
used to be when you came in, if it was a meal, if it was in construction, whatever it was, you pretty much said that we had a gentleman, 53 years, at King Asphalt when we got it, and we were talking about that. You don't see that anymore. It used to be, when you came on it was the family, it was the whoever the working people are, they felt like that they were part of it. Mm-hmm. But society's changed now. Mm-hmm. Now everybody wants to play on a computer, or let's do this, we don't want to go outside, it's hot, or it's people fuss at us, or whatever. And so I think it's not just in just one section. I think you see it in anything like that, look at it, it's the same thing. It's just that everybody they may latch on for a little while, and then they'll hear that somebody else is doing something or maybe do a little better. And it's just, there's that work ethic is not necessarily binding that like it used to be. Just from what we see.
Back in 19, the code was around with everybody running application to get to run the department because it was so high too. I think there's still a lot of that. I have a problem too with other people. A lot of applications coming in.
Yeah, maybe, probably something to that still.
Have you, I don't know what the pay is or anything, but has any veterans applied to positions here?
We've had a few. We had one that had, this has been a few years ago, that had PTSD and had a service animal. And we would have, we looked to do everything we could to accommodate him. We spoke with our labor attorney at the time, and we would have offered him the job, but I think he felt, after he found out more about it, he felt it would be too much. But we don't have, again, it's been a while since I've been involved in the vetting process. But it used to be that we would receive a few, but not.
Thank you.
If you know any, please point them our way.
Come on. Absolutely.
Chris, anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item K, Commissioners' discussion. We'll start this way. Any comments on this side? Y'all all had it. How about this side?
Yes, sir.
Y'all all had it. All right, I'll take one quick moment to thank the City of Walhalla for letting us use the Walhalla Depot for this meeting. It's very kind. It's always nice. I was just at the Westminster Depot.
Well, the gas savings y'all had from driving over there, we'll take it out and we'll be.
All right, if there are no other comments, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. We will reconvene at 6 p.m. for the annual meeting.